Gold, 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 there's gold in them there hills. Gold bars, gold bullion, gold medals, gold trophies, gold rush, the golden rule, golden years, shining yellow brilliance, gold sets the standard. Did it descend from the stars above, or rise up from the fire so deep? Who fully knows the origins of the gold we keep? This most noble of noble metals, this metal most valuable of all, pure 79 AU, stretched to an atom wide and stretched more before it breaks. Is it the willingness to bend that gives gold the value we so take? The most precious thing is the softest of them all, allowing the teeth of winners to make their indent, the hands of lovers to show their intent, the heads of monarchs to claim they are heaven sent. It passes the acid test, the test of time, the refiner's fire. It shows the good from the dross, the worth from the mire. This gift of gold presented to the Christ child. Is now he the standard and weight? Is the King from above bending to share our fate? Will he be stretched out to bear my sin and hate? Will he be forsaken to give us our worth? Has he come down from heaven to lift us from earth? He is the monarch, and his head the gold will crown. He is the lover's ring, bringing God's love down. The highest value in helpless babe, a mystery. We make our mark on him, and we claim his victory. He has passed the acid test, the test of time, the refiner's fire, and we gaze on his brilliance, and him we admire. Gold, 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 not in the hills or the mines, not in the rush or rule, but in the babe so small, the king riding on a mule. The most noble of noble, the most valuable of all, is now wrapped in a sleeping child so small.
Hey there, thank you for joining me today as we kick off this series, The Gifts, thinking about the three gifts that the wise men brought to Jesus: gold, frankincense and myrrh. And today we are going for gold. I'm resisting singing Spandau Ballet there. I want us to think about three things about gold that perhaps tell us something about Jesus, but also two tips for our journeys that we can pick up from the wise men. So, gold, the most valuable of all metals. For centuries, gold has been the universal standard. We have gold medals. We have people worth their weight in gold. We have the golden years. We had the gold standard, where for years and years the value of a country's economy was based on how much gold did they have. Because gold holds its value. Gold doesn't diminish over time. You also can't print more gold just when you feel like it. You can't drive up or inflate your value because gold is limited and precious. So for many years, gold set the standard for value and how we value things and how we value our economies. If you're an economist out there, you will know that despite my best efforts at Googling, I don't really understand what the gold standard is, but you will know how important the gold standard was for so many years. But as well as gold being really valuable and being the thing that we measure the value of other things by, there's some other pretty interesting things about gold. It might be the most valuable metal, but it's also one of the softest, one of the most malleable metals. In fact, you can stretch gold out into a wire that is an atom thin and stretch it some more before it will break. In fact, you can stretch just 1 ounce of gold 50 miles long before it will snap. Gold is so malleable, gold is so soft that early traders used to bite into the gold to check its purity. Because if it had been mixed with other metals or other things, then there'd be a hardness to it, whereas the softer it was, the more pure it was. That's why you see this tradition now of athletes, when they get their gold medal, they bite into it. Maybe they're testing the purity of the gold medal they've been given. Maybe they're stamping their teeth marks on it so no one else can claim it belongs to them. Or maybe they're just hungry and they just need something to eat after their race. Even more fascinating, not only is gold valuable, not only is it soft and malleable, but the cosmic origins of gold. So we think the most popular theory is that most of the gold that we have on Earth actually originated from out of space. Actually originated when stars collided and gold was produced, and then it rained down in meteor showers into the Earth's crust. Most geologists would say that potentially the gold around your finger or around your neck actually didn't come from Earth, it came from out of space. Wow. Of course, there are other theories that gold bubbled up from the core of the Earth, but we know that gold is valuable, that it is soft, and it is so rare and precious that maybe it didn't actually start in this Earth. We're going to read the passage from Matthew 2, 1 to 12, that tells us about the wise men's journey to Jesus. It says, Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea during the reign of King Herod. About that time, some wise men from eastern lands arrived in Jerusalem, asking, "Where is the newborn King of the Jews? We saw his star as it rose, and we've come to worship him." King Herod was deeply disturbed when he heard this, as was everyone in Jerusalem. He called a meeting of the leading priests and teachers of the religious law and asked, "Where is the Messiah supposed to be born?" "In Bethlehem of Judea," they said, "for this is what the prophet wrote. And you, O Bethlehem, in the land of Judea, are not least among the ruling cities of Judah. For a ruler will come from you, who will be a shepherd for my people Israel." Then Herod called for a private meeting with the wise men, and he learned from them the time when the star first appeared. Then he told them, "Go to Bethlehem and search carefully for the child. And when you find him, come back and tell me so that I can go and worship him too." After this interview, the wise men went their way, and the star they had seen in the east guided them to Bethlehem. It went ahead of them and stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they were filled with joy. They entered the house and saw the child with his mother Mary and bowed down and worshipped him. Then they opened their treasure chests and gave him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Now, from that gift of gold, we can make the connection very quickly that it signifies that Jesus is King. That this baby in front of these wise men is not an ordinary child, but actually there's something divine about him. He's a king, he's a ruler. As the prophecy said, a ruler will come from Bethlehem. But I want us to notice, as we think about gold, that not all that glitters is gold. I think this is the first tip from the wise men's journey. So you're probably aware of a thing called fool's gold. It's called pyrite. It's a mineral, so it's not even a metal. It's iron and sulfur coming together as a mineral, and it shines just like gold does. When you first find it in the ground, it's got this yellow nature to it, but it's not soft like gold. It's hard and it's brittle. And it doesn't retain its shininess and its value like gold. In fact, as it's exposed to the air and to the elements, it starts to tarnish and it goes brown very quickly. It loses its brilliant shine. It's called fool's gold because when mining in the gold rushes, people would come across pyrite, think they'd found gold, and actually then later on realise this wasn't gold that we were looking for. I find it interesting that the wise men see a star rise in the east, and so they travel to Israel, but then they make the assumption that the king will be in the palace. They go to the shiny place. On their journey to Jesus, they get distracted by something that is shining but isn't gold. And King Herod is definitely pyrite. He's a brutal ruler. He treats his people very harshly. He tries to buy their favor by building big building projects and expanding the temple in Jerusalem. But then when people disagree with him, he's ruthless in how he treats them. He's a harsh ruler. He's a brittle ruler. He shines, but his value doesn't last for very long. And for some reason, on their journey to find Jesus, for some reason, having started off following the star, the wise men get distracted and diverted. Something catches their eye, but it's not the real king. It's not the pure gold. I wonder what's catching your eye this season. I wonder what you're looking forward to. I wonder what's special for you about this time of year. Is it the food, the parties, the friends, the family, the presents, the drink, the break afterwards if you're lucky enough to get one? There's so many things that compete for our attention at this time of year, but we have to remind ourselves not everything that glitters is gold. And we can start off so well, just like the wise men, but we can find ourselves getting distracted and diverted and ending up somewhere where actually we're not going to find what we are looking for. I wonder this Christmas time, are you willing to find Jesus in the unexpected places? Are you willing this Christmas time to recognize that there's lots of shiny, sparkly things around us, but they're not the gold? They're not the true purity of the season. They're not the things we should actually be seeking after. Are you willing to accept that actually what your heart might tell you is gold probably isn't? And somehow are we going to fix our eyes on our journey towards Jesus this season and not end up getting diverted and distracted by fool's gold? So the wise men, after their diversion, they follow the star again and they find Jesus and they present him with gold, showing that he's king. But I think gold also shows what kind of king Jesus is. See, we thought earlier about gold not just being the most valuable of metals, but the softest, the most malleable. You know, in a world that so often values toughness and hardness and harshness, when people get power, they often become hard towards the people that they're called to serve. And yet the prophecy said, out of you will come a ruler who will shepherd. See, gold shows that not only is Jesus king, he's the servant king. He's the humble king. He's the lowly king. Think about people in your life that you've described as, oh, they're worth their weight in gold. They are. They're just golden. They're worth their weight in gold. You know, we often don't say that about kind of loud people or upfront people or people who are hard-nosed. We often say that about people who are humble to work in the background. People who aren't interested in how they can get ahead, but how they can just serve others and make things work and without a fuss just crack on with the job at hand and make something happen. Those are the people, we sometimes call them kind of salt of the earth, but they're worth their weight in gold. Well, you see, Jesus is golden because he's the most valuable, but he's also the most humble. In fact, if you want to look into this more, there's a song that the first Christians used to sing. It's recorded for us in the New Testament in the book of Philippians chapter 2. And the whole idea of this song is that because Jesus was willing to be humble, he is now the most valuable. He is now the most exalted. because he was the one that had the right to rule with an iron fist and yet chose to come with an open heart. Gold shows us that Jesus is the King, but that he's our shepherd king. He's our humble king, valuable yet soft. The other thing we thought about gold was its ability to be stretched out. Are you feeling stretched this season? Our time, our patience, our energy, our money, our resources, everything can get stretched at Christmas time, can't it? We can feel the pressure and the weight of life coming on us to get everything organised and to get everything sorted. And so often when we're put under pressure, when we're stretched, we break. And yet Jesus is gold because he came to be stretched out, and yet he didn't break. 1 Peter 2:24, Peter says this: he himself bore our sins in his body on the cross, so that we might die to sins and live for righteousness. By his wounds you have been healed. And as Jesus is stretched out on that cross, he's bearing the weight of our sin, of our failure, of our inability to live out our lives the way we should do. He's carrying our burdens and our guilt and our shame, the things that break us, the things that cause us to crumble, the weights that we can't carry. He is stretched out without breaking so that he can carry them for us. He's pure gold, pure enough to be stretched and to take the pressures that we could not. The other thing we thought about gold was about the cosmic nature of gold, that it came from out of space and then is buried into the crust of the earth, surrounded by ordinary rock and mud and muck and sand and water and earth, just hidden away. What a picture of Christ, the most precious of all, coming down to earth to be hidden away, not born in a palace, but being amongst us in the everyday, mundane, boring, earthly, difficult, full of suffering parts of our life. He came from above, yet he was happy to be buried with us below. And so the wise men present their gifts to Jesus, and gold shows that Jesus is the king, but it shows that he's the humble king. It shows that he's the king that has come to be stretched out, to bear what we couldn't bear. He's the king that has come from above, but he's buried with us below, ready to raise us up to be with him. Those are the three lessons from the gold, and the travelling tip from the wise men about don't get distracted and find yourself chasing after fool's gold. But one final travelling tip from the wise men. What's the response? If this is the kind of king that Jesus is, what's the response demanded from us? I love the meme that I often see on social media that says it doesn't matter how bad you are, when a 2-year-old hands you a toy phone, you answer it. It's so true, isn't it? We can be in the most intense conversation. We can be focused on something really important. But when a small child goes, there's a phone, you go, hello. Oh yes, how are you? And suddenly we put on this ridiculous voice. There's something about the presence of children that soften us. You know, from a distance we go, oh, that's a cute child, or that's a lovely baby. But then as we get closer, we're like, oh, bushy, bushy, mushy, who's a good boy? Oh, you're so gorgeous. Oh, you're so beautiful. We kind of melt in the presence of children. I think you see the wise men melting in the presence of Jesus. We reckon Jesus is probably about 2 years old by this point. So maybe he did hand them a toy phone. Who knows? Well, probably not, because it was first century, but Matthew tells us this. They entered the house, saw the child, they bowed down and worshipped him. Then they opened their treasure chest. It's my final thought for us now. That's our last travelling tip from the wise men. Are you willing to open your treasure chest? See, Jesus is king, but there's something about the way that he came as king that makes our hearts melt. I would say, Jesus, because you're king, you demand our allegiance, but the way you are king commands our love. If you're the pure gold, come from heaven to earth to be soft and humble and gentle and be stretched out for us, how can I not soften myself and open up the treasure chest of my heart, open up the deepest parts of me and go, Jesus, if that is how you are going to rule, then I want to welcome you into every single part of me, because you are pure gold, cosmic gold, soft gold, valuable gold, and yet you're content to be a child in front of me. And so I'm going to open up my treasure chest and give you the depths of my life, my soul, and my heart. There's 3 things to know about gold, and there's 2 travelling tips from the wise men. I hope they help you on your journey towards this Christmas time.
Hello, my name's Naomi. It's been great to have you with us for our message here at Renewal. If you want to find out more about what it means to follow Jesus, you can visit renewalcc.com/next steps, and you'll be sent a few videos which might answer some of those bigger questions that you might have. Likewise, maybe you just want to say hello to the team, so you can email hello@renewalcc.com. And then if you're really enjoying all of these videos, what you can do is click the subscribe button, which is the wonderful red button that you cannot miss on your screen, to be notified of any other videos that come in. You can also listen to our messages on the go. So if you visit renewalcc.com/media, you'll be able to see podcasts, and then that will also link you to the YouTube channel. But maybe actually you just want to support the work that Renewal is doing. And you can do that by visiting renewalcc.com/give, and you can choose where your finance goes. All that's left to say is take care, God bless, and have a great week. Hopefully we'll see you soon.